My name is Ronald Melvin.
My name is Rother Boswell.
My name is John Tipton.
My name is Robin Cole.
My name is Charles R. Merkel.
And I'm Nate McLaughlin.
I'm Blanche Valentine, and this is Palm Coast View.
Today's topic is about coin shortage. On June 11th, the Federal Reserve acknowledged that the COVID pandemic has disrupted the normal circulation patterns for the U.S. coin. With that said, there's been a lot of other articles out there and a big coin supply shortage. Laundromats have been affected, car washes have been affected, and some other small businesses have been affected. So my question is, has anybody else felt this shortage? Notice that you go to the stores now, you're expected to pay by credit card, debit card, cards only. The machines even come back now and say you can't even accept cash. And do you agree?
I wouldn't state it as a concern about the shortage itself. I'm aware of it. I have not, to answer Robin's initial question, I have not experienced it myself because I don't use cash. Cashless consumer. But my concern is that this was, as I understand it, felt or tracked since April. And a task force was put together by the Federal Reserve, 21 members that vary from corporations like Walmart and Coinstar to banks and other financial institutions. And they put that together June 30th. And so my concern is that why, if we have folks that are economic experts, why was this not anticipated? And why was this not handled proactively? And then we come up with a task force end of June, and here we are mid-August, and it's still being felt. And some of the things I saw was that one of the reasons anyway that I saw that this occurred is because of disruption in the economy relative to COVID, but also because the U.S. Mint reportedly shut down during the quarantine period and then partially be open, and now they're back up to capacity. So I have some concerns relative to the reactivity versus proactivity, and then I have some concerns are the reasons in terms of economic inactivity, lack of normalcy in terms of economic activity in the economy being attributed to this. But we've since reopened the economy, and we're still having the issue.
I have to say I do to a large degree agree that there is some kind of conspiracy or something going on, because how is it all of a sudden during a pandemic do we run out of coins? They didn't have a personnel cutback at the Mint. So what changed? They weren't having any problems with raw materials. So why the unavailability? I don't use change because it's easier for me to keep the debit card and the credit card in my pocket. Women will tell you change destroys the inside of a pocketbook. Most of our clothes don't have pockets, and we always got a toddler swallowing coins. So if they go away, that won't break my heart.
I wouldn't turn what I said is a belief in a conspiracy theory. My concern is a conspiracy theory. It's more so incompetence or lack of planning, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Conspiracy theories I stay away from until you can show me proof of it. That's not where I'm at with it. I'm just concerned about if we're being told the truth about the reasons for this and the approach to fix it. So I just don't want to be held on the record.
No, and I tell you what, my dad is responsible for it because he's got about 2 5-gallon jugs full of pennies, dimes, and nickels.
Well, I've been thinking about that probably all week, and one of the things that came up with is that because of the germs that is accumulated on coins or on money, it could be that they're trying to slow down the growth of germs by eliminating the coins. But then I thought about it, I said, well, they didn't eliminate the dollars and the $10 bills, so I'm not sure what they have in mind. But I also believe that by going to a card system, most people don't pay off their cards per month. In other words, the interest rate on a credit card is upwards of 12%. So if they get you using a credit card and then you run a balance over, they make money on top of it. Whereas if they had coins for you to put in the machines, that's money that they have. There is no interest paid on it. So I'm not sure whether it's a shortage of coins or whether they're trying to get you to a card society where they can charge you interest for having a balance on a credit card month after month after month. So
Yeah.
that is my concern, is what are their long-term plan?
Well, you also have the option of if they go cardless. I know my granddaughter, I use a prepaid card I get from American Express that I send her while she's in college. And when it's gone, it's gone. There's lots of them at the grocery store checkout that you can purchase 25, 50, $100. So people may switch to that. It won't allow them to carry a balance over. It'll only allow them to spend what they have. It just depends on how astute the person is with their finances.
So to that
Oh,
end,
Right.
the same thing that Rutherford was saying in terms of extra cash flow revenue for the financial institution. But I will say though that whenever folks were using a debit / credit card, that's consistent with the cash equivalent that they have available on their checking or savings checking account. So it's not necessarily the credit card that they're using, although you're right, though people use those, but the credit debit system is separate from the credit card system.
But people are also, with the debit cards, even though they may have only a certain amount of cash in their account, there is the overflow, and that's not the protection that they have on there. And some of them have the protection for the overdraft and some of them don't. And, they're using that, and then they don't understand why they have to pay all these added fees that go with the overdraft as well. So that's
Yeah.
a huge problem. And it is affecting a lot of us. I know me personally, it's affecting me. I had to drive 40 minutes to go to a PNC bank in Alabama so that I could get quarters to do laundry. So, I shouldn't have to do that.
My first thought is, number one, the fact is that coins, like money, all money, paper money, has a problem with the fact that it can carry the virus distinctly than the credit card. The credit card itself can, once it's given to you, you can sanitize your hands and the card. With coinage, that is one of the most germ-ridden things that we have on our personal selves as we go throughout our day. The second thing is the fact that I'm wondering if all banks, or how many banks were closed down during this time. I haven't been to the bank. I usually do my banking online. So my question would be, are banks open so that coins and paper money can actually be accessed?
Banks are open, the lobbies are closed, on the majority of them. Some of them are by appointment only to get in there, and the banks are limited to the number of coins that they can have right now from the Federal Reserve.
I did see that the Federal Reserve is, the U.S. Mint is functioning at full capacity now. And
It is now, but they
Now,
laid off or they let go of quite a few people because of the pandemic, is what
right.
they did in the beginning.
Yeah, in fact, I believe they, if I understand correctly, basically reading is that they shut down briefly and then reopened at partial capacity in terms of staffing. But now the numbers that I saw was that they printed some 1.6 billion coins in June and are estimated to ramp that up to 1.65 million coins minted for the rest of the year. But my concern again is that you're printing more coins, but there isn't really a coin shortage per The other point just didn't disappear. People either have them, because one of the things that I saw in terms of the resolution recommended based on the Federal Reserve Task Force is for folks that are holding on to coins, bring them into your local bank, or to go to Coinstar and use that system. So, but again, in terms of potential self-dealing or certain incentives by corporations like Coinstar, Coinstar gets a fee for every time you use that
Right.
service. And
Yeah.
so, but they're also on the task force. So my concern is that Coinstar, if I'm a Coinstar executive or have stock in the company, what have you, my thing is, hey, use my company to help resolve the issue. Is that really resolving the issue? Because it's not necessarily a coin shortage, as I understand it. It was the lack of economic activity that resulted in people not using the coins, and now they're trying to play catch up, if you will. But again, there's something to me that's just not connecting, and it's not again necessarily conspiratorial in my mind as much as it is somewhere along the line. There's either miscommunication or incompetence.
Yeah, and they claim the Federal Reserve and the Mint that, this is only temporary. Well, if they've been making all these extra coins since June and we're still having the effect here, I mean, laundromats are closed, car washes are closed that don't do, credit card. It's affecting people, and here we are, as John said, we're in August and we're still having this issue.
Something doesn't smell right.
Right.
Well, the other thing that I look at is if people are hoarding the coins and now they know that we need the coins, as you said, there's a charge if you go to the system. What did you call it? The Star Coin system or something?
Coinstar.
Coinstar. Okay, they don't want to give up their percentage to this company, and you can't go to the bank and have them counted at the bank
Right.
because you can't get in the lobby. So I think that's not the reason, but that doesn't help. Let's put it
Well,
that way.
Mel, I remember the old school days when you would get rolls. We used to go to the bank, and I remember my parents doing it. You get the rolls, and you roll the coins, and then bring those into the bank. So
Yeah.
that's still, again, the banks maybe perhaps could say, hey, let's go back to that. I don't know how many people use it, but there is a way to submit your coins to the financial institution, but
But you
does
can't,
that
the only way you can get coin, like when I went to PNC, I called them first and they told me I had to go to the drive up window where there's actually a person there. Because every bank I went to, even the bank that I have over here, everyone that I went to, and I went to the drive up where it has the tube, they will not do coin. They will not accept coins and they will not give you coins there. So you have to go to the drive up window itself, but you have to call the bank first to make sure that they have coins and that
But
they're going to accept them. But they're not even curb service. Are they accepting or giving out coin right now?
you're saying they're not accepting it, Rob? They won't take your coins that way?
They're not taking them and they're not giving them either.
well, if you look at it,
There's a big problem.
if you look at it, that they don't want to have things to change hands. And I remember Nate saying that even at voting, if you use one of their pens for voting, a pencil to vote with, you take that pencil with you. They don't want you to leave the pencil there for someone else to use. So with coins, it could be that they're saying, okay, we will eliminate coins going from hand to hand.
Well, what about the dollar bills? They're just as dirty.
I agree. But let me tell you what one of the things happened. I worked at the racetrack over the weekend. And for the punch in, they used to have a machine, you put the card there, and then you hit the button to get your receipt. But now, because of the people touching the machine, they gave us a card. So we use the card just like in the same spot that you use to check in or to print the receipt. So they're getting it so that two hands don't touch the same button. And they gave us sanitizer stuff to be constantly cleaning the area that that you're in. So a lot of it could be because of the fear of the pandemic that they don't want too much of changing hands of anything.
But Rutherford, why aren't they just saying that then?
I don't know, but but that is what is happening. Is that they're taking things now that uh, you don't have two people doing it touching the same thing.
No, I
So
just thought about it.
that could be it, uh, it and it could also be that they want you to go to the card system.
Well, by the end of the year, a lot of the banks are going to have those touchless cards as well. So all you're going to be doing is just tapping your credit card to pay at the checkout as well, like you do with your iPhones and some other things.
Yeah, what I'm
It
starting to
still
have
doesn't make sense
concerns with.
because still a lot of people are using cash.
What I'm having
Yeah.
a concern with is the fact, what would you do with your young people? If you're a family and you have children in your family, you're not going to be giving them a debit card, I don't think. So it must be that because they're not in school or they're not out in public, they would definitely be the ones that would need to have change for their part of the economy.
You know what? I think you may find a lot of young kids. I mean, like 10 to 12 years old, that do have debit cards with money on them, because a lot of credit cards are marketing those options to parents. And like I said, with the kids in college, all they need is when you pay their tuition, you put money on their student services card. That takes care of vending machines, access at football games, concession stands, the laundromat. It does everything, and I think that they're trying to force society to go that way. When you well, of course, there was no summer camp this year, but when you send your kids to summer camp, they don't want you to bring in money. They want you to put money on a card and have that kid use those cards.
Now you got me concerned because what I see now is a way of following Mel's economy, Mel's finances. So therefore, even the small things that I buy, you have some idea of what that is. And with the ability today with computer systems, you have a dangerously amount of data on Mel to pretty much decide where he's going to go and what he's going to do. That's quite interesting to me. Thank you.
And fraud is running rampant right now as well, especially with the credit cards and the debit cards. So I don't understand why they're doing this and making us go to cashless.
That's another thing is, I don't know if you've been involved with a card that has disappeared or been stolen. A friend of mine had a card stolen, and they recorded the people using the card at Target. Do you know they didn't go out to try to find these people or anything? They just wrote it off as a loss. Now, mind you, there may have been a cost to finding those people, but how much of that are they writing off? And it actually adds into how much I pay for a product. Those people aren't they're not going to just throw the money away. Somebody's got to come up with that difference. And the only way I can see the difference being made up is by charging me more for the product to make that up. I don't know if you've had those concerns.
I think anybody that's had their accounts hacked or card numbers misappropriated, it's a scary thing, because, like you say, they go and they shop, they use the card up for so many days, and I guess they ditch that number and go to another one. But I know that cost is passed on to the consumer. Can't prove it, but my gut says, as always, it trickle down, and we're the end of the trickle.
Maybe not in the form of higher pricing on consumer goods alone. It may also affect your interest rates that you pay. as well as interest rates that you earn on money saved and invested, because that's somewhere where that money can be made up.
Yeah, I noticed now that, as Rother said, there's a minimum of a 12% interest rate on money owed. But I took a look at what they give me for the money I have in my savings account, and they might as well not even put that number down there.
Might as well give you a peanut.
Yeah,
It
hurts
doesn't
your
make any
feelings.
difference at all. So consequently, they're making 12% off my money, and I'm not even getting a percentage point, I don't believe, on my money.
Mel, quite honestly, I think that's where you see much of where that money is being made up in the system.
Not only is my credit card been compromised, my signature has been compromised, and because I worked for the U.S. government, my signature, my fingerprint has been compromised. God knows my social security number must be in the hands of thousands of people somewhere, somehow. So at this point, do you think we're getting to a point where there might be a national card that comes out that we all have to carry, that they can shut down at any moment and start again? I think that's a subject for another time, but I think this money thing is kind of easing us into other subject matter.
Well, I don't know. I just know that there's a change that's coming about, and we just have to be prepared for the change, whether we like it or not. They have decided what they're going to do, and they are instituting it. I do somewhat believe that the pandemic is a cover up for some of these other changes that they want to enter. Uh, See, I always look at things. I say, what is the out there that you see is only a cover up for something that's going on underneath. And the underneath thing might be the change that they're going through with the change where you go to card service instead of using the coins. Uh, and if they get the coins, then it's going to be the dollars and the $10. Then you'll be walking around with cards and no money at all. But I think that's part of the change, and we just have to learn to adapt to the change and find ways to take advantage of the changes that come about.
Sure. One of the things is that right now, based on what I read, is some 1/3 of transactions, economic transactions in our economy, are cash transactions. 2/3 are credit cards, credit debit. So we're already kind of been conditioned to use an alternative system versus cash, traditional cash points. And so, but I hear the term shortage used, and I don't necessarily, that's what doesn't make sense to me. I don't know that it's a shortage as much as it is lack of util or usage of coins. People just don't use them anymore as much. I think that has more of an impact in my mind. So someone can show me proof of a shortage. So relative to how do we conduct ourselves is that we stay vigilant, we stay aware, know who is on that 21 member currently task force the Federal Reserve put together, track what they're doing, try to do what you can to go out to the Federal Reserve website and keep yourself updated as best as you can. What I will say is do not panic, stay informed, and make sure that you're doing that you're working for the solution, because as with anything else in my mind, if you're not part of the solution, then you're only part of it.
And you know, with credit cards now, one of the things that they're doing, they give you incentives to use the credit card. Like you can get gas and you get 3% back on purchased gas. You get back for buying groceries. So I think they've been instituting this for a while. It's just that we didn't pay attention to it until the coins, they started dealing with the coins itself. But they've been really trying to prepare us to use credit cards or debit cards for a long time. So I think they have found out that this is probably more economical for them. Never mind for us, it's for them that they're looking at, that they can give you back a little bit, right, And I would say on a credit card, I have the use of a credit card, and the advantage of using a credit card is that if you can use the credit card and once a month pay your bill, you just need to learn how to save your money or save and use it and pay off the bill. Don't have a balance left over for them to charge you on the next month. So I think this is what they are preparing us for is to use credit cards. And pretty soon, Robin, I think that they're going to have laundromats, going to have credit cards where you just slide the card in and then you wash all the clothes you want. And then they hope you don't pay the bill at the end of the month, and then they can charge you interest on the credit card.
A little bit further. Actually, I don't even take out my credit card a lot of the time. I'd say maybe up to maybe 60% of the time or more. All I do is touch my telephone or wave my phone over top of the credit card reader,
Right.
and the money is exchanged at that point. With the use of the personal cell phone, mobile phone, you have the location of the person, you knowing what they're spending, and the way they're putting apps and all on the phone, they know who you're with. So the coin going away is just like you said, maybe just one of those barriers that's holding us away from is being independent, to be freedom. They're taking away a freedom by knowing what we're doing and where we're going.
So yes, it's affecting laundromats, it's affecting vending machines as well, and car washes, like I said. So maybe at some point they will go cashless and they'll go card only. Until then, it's still a big problem. What about the people that are standing on the street corners begging for coins? What's going to happen to them? Are we going to start getting extra debit cards or gift cards and start giving those out instead? I mean, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And as I said, there are banks now that are starting to make touchless credit cards and debit cards, so that just like with your phone, like you said, Mel, you're going to be able to just tap it and go away. I personally don't like the idea that the government knows every little thing that I'm doing. I think it's definitely taking away a lot of our freedom. In closing, if anybody's interested or even just a bit curious as to what's happening with their money in the bank, check out the Federal Reserve website. It's at www.federalreserve.gov. There are definitely changes coming down the road to the way we consumers and retailers do business.
Well, thank you, Robert. And we'd like to thank all of you for listening in on our conversation. We'd like to ask you to go to our Facebook page where you can leave comments and suggestions of topics that we might use in our programming. That page is Palm Coast View on Facebook. We'd again appreciate you listening and ask you to come back next week for our next